know, you get an insight and you know something, you know, but you don't want to say it out loud because you're kind of afraid that it's not going to be really true and it'll spoil the whole thing for you, you know. But when somebody makes you say it, then, and it's true, then it just makes it more beautiful of a thing.
I'm not crazy, Malin. I'm not crazy, Malin. I've just been in a very bad mood for 40 years. 40 years.
Carpe diem. Carpe diem.
find the angle they can, trying to find somebody out of position.
We're gonna go through on this. Oh, what a roll. They're gonna deflect. White gonna go in.
It's going to be a really, really interesting one.
Oh my god. All of this competition could be so damn close, so I cannot wait for us to finally decide who's going to be the champion. We are expecting some chaos, some great moments.
Beast Mode has killed 3. Only gonna really need that rampage, so it's gonna clear it out. Santi gonna get themselves a big old 4K. Oh. Santi's getting rid of 3, clearing out the house.
That is crazy.
Nunji actually kills 3 people.
This team feels entirely different on this faster composition. Now Sagafor is hanging around, getting onto the high ground. Post bomb's gonna stick under Leaky. They're not gonna be able to survive it at the end of the day. Blue manages to find a 3K.
Rio shoving this Ana into a corner. Woo! One more for the road for Rio. That is all signs go. Melophobia with 3 Melophobia. Start the fight. They'll end the fight. Oh my god. Beagle Bus, they have to play aggressively into this energy. Popping off in a moment where you needed just that. Ruby in that backline. Oh, the flick. Looking for it. Oh my goodness. The 4th one as well. Do they get the ace? They get the ace.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back. CGL Season 15 playoffs continue here in our NA Open tier. It's going to be a matchup of 2 incredible teams in this bracket. 2 very storied teams in YE Snowfall and Mental Institution. Megalas, are you ready to get this game rolling?
Of course, it should be a good one here. Winner, of course, getting to book themselves a spot in the winner's final. The loser having to do some more matches in the lower bracket for sure here. And again, it's just always a fun little matchup when you have these playoffs, right? But speaking of all of the action, right, it's not just CGL playoffs going on right now. You have this weekend, we have the Kunoichi Cavalry Tournament, which has been super, super fun. Got to cast some of that earlier with Diamonds, Masters, and Open tier available to watch. Make sure you tune in tomorrow as champions will be crowned, and you don't want to miss it.
A lot of fun going on over there in Kunoichi, but that's happening right now. We've got something else coming up in the near future. Copa America bringing the South American action here on CGL. English, Portuguese, and Spanish all going to be brought to you. It's fun getting to see these new regions be brought in. So, come tune in to Copa America on May 16th. Going to be very, very fun. But that's not for another few weeks. Mega, you know what's happening right now, though, is Mental Institution YE Snowfall for a spot in the winner's final.
Exactly, and just to take a quick look at everything that's going on in case you have not been paying attention because it's CGL playoffs, so tons and tons to look out here. EMC Kinaidos was able to take a 3-0 over Bliss Excelsior in EU earlier today, but then NA popping off on a random Saturday evening. We're here with Mental Institution versus YE Snowfall. CGL 2 has got RRG Varsity going up against Big T-Tar Fan 600. Love that team name, big fan. Over on there. That's actually going to be a really good matchup for the GM tier. And then Sort of Skilled taking on Celestial Knights at 11 p.m. EST. Gosh, that sounds painful. Glad I'm not casting that one.
Yeah, a lot going on here today, and this bracket is also kind of a lot, very, very large, but we're whittling it down here. You see top there, W2, Mental Institution YE Snowfall. That W3 is going to be insane, by the way. 2 different representatives of OWCS here in CGL in Amplify and Dill Ducks. Dill Ducks send Amplify packing in OWCS, the relegation tournament. So it's going to be very, very fun. Maybe some revenge out from Amplify. So the winner of Mental Institution YE Snowfall will play the winner of that game. Loser will go on to the lower bracket to play Retirement Home, who knocked out Nightmare Rotation 3-0.
Yeah, I mean, that's certainly going to be an interesting matchup, right? This bracket, like you said, we've been whittling it down. We started with 12 teams, technically at 7 now. I mean, looking at this, right? Agave Foxtails, I believe your winner of the midseason, now sat in the lower bracket. You have teams like you said, Amplified, Dildux, Mental Institution, we know to be these Goliaths, Snowfall. They've been storied. They've been here in CGL for a while. I actually had one of the players messaging me earlier talking about their experience, and this is the first time they've actually gotten to show out, right? They aren't normally a team that pulls up that well in the playoffs, but they feel like this might be their time. They're absolutely performing well here for this specific matchup tonight, but again, you're going up against another strong squad in Mental Institution, and I mean, just regardless of how you shake it, I think every match that's left in this bracket is going to be a banger.
Could not agree more. Finally, we've got our players in the lobby, though, so going to be very, very soon coming up on this match. I believe we know what our first map is. It's okay. No, we don't actually know what the map is just yet, but I think, Mega, we can probably assume what's going to happen. It's a rush meta, whether you're playing the Malga, the Ramatra, or something like that. That's going to be the prevailing, composition coming out, and map 1 is always going to be control, and I think everybody watching can probably gather where I'm going with that. My assumption probably going to be Lijiang Tower coming up for map number 1, as we just wait to see what they actually do properly decide for.
I mean, yeah, it's just sort of that simply waiting game here, as we're just simply having to sort out, make sure we have the correct number 1 seed picking. But yeah, like you said, a lot of teams are going to end up picking Lijiang Tower anyway. But at the end of the day, it is just it's the standard map. It's not necessarily required, because that also can decide hero bans, and hero bans can also influence the map and stuff like that. Like you said, we've seen a lot of brawl at the high levels here, although ever since the patch a few days ago, even though there was no significant buffs to the character, a lot of hazard has kind of been creeping in here and there. A lot of teams trying to play fast into things of that nature, but at the end of the day, it just comes down to what they've practiced, what the comfort is right now, and having to adapt on the fly, especially with a brand new patch, it certainly can be something to learn about here.
Yeah, I mean, Overwatch has been changing a lot over the last couple of seasons. I mean, hero bans in ranked now, so people are getting a little bit more practice playing around the characters that they normally, play with and against. Obviously, perks in the season before that. I mean, it's a big time of change in Overwatch, as we are, coming up. I think that Overwatch is actually in probably the best place it's been in a long time, right? Maybe I don't like the meta as much as some other ones. I don't like that Malga is still relevant, but other than that guy, it's really pretty healthy across the board, honestly.
Yeah, it's just a lot of people still trying to shake off that fatigue and stuff, and obviously, you have your different levels of meta that you have to worry about, right? Whether it's the ranked ladder, the quick play, warlords, or tournament play, right? For example, something you're not going to see in playoffs is Freya. Definitely a menace in quick play right now, running around with Mercy Pockets. Then you go to the ranked ladder, where every game is a Sombra ban for some reason. Don't know why everything's hitting on Sombra, but sure. But again, when you're in these tournament plays, they almost have their own isolated meta where teams realize what's the best here. And it seems like, regardless of which team is picking, they've decided that the same location will be starting us off here. It is Lijiang Tower.
I mean, if there's something that CGL can have money line every time Lijiang Tower is in a map pool, you're probably going to be hitting on that bet every single time. To be honest with you, I wouldn't be surprised if you were losing money on that bet, honestly. But it's Lijiang Tower. It's a rush meta. People are going to play rush. That's just how it is right now. So now we're going to head over to the bans. And honestly, this is something that we kind of talked about yesterday in EU, right? Where it would be surprising to not see a Pharah ban. I feel like she's the only character that's like consistently shut down, in map number ones, right? Especially with as often as Lijiang Tower is picked. She's very, very spammy. From high in the sky, she provides a lot of long range damage. The first ban is actually going to be Anna, however, so
Huh.
that's interesting. I don't think it means much in the actual ban aspect, but maybe just protecting one of the other supports, maybe.
I mean, yeah. But generally speaking, right? Like, normally teams, for the most part, have been opting into either break Juno comps or Kiri Lucio comps. So the idea is generally if you ban the Juno, then it forces Kiri Lucio, and vice versa with banning Lucio forces the break Juno. So to ban Ana leaves both on the table still. The only thing that really stops is like Ana Brig comps, but generally you'd only play that with like a Wrecking Ball and things of that nature. So uh, I don't know exactly what Snowfall is thinking of with this ban, but at the end of the day, if it was just to protect all support options, they've given themselves that opportunity. Now, Mental Institution on the other side has to look elsewhere. Like you were saying, that Pharah ban could be imminent here just simply to take away that spam damage. But if Mental Institution feels confident in their own Pharah play, I would not be surprised to see if maybe they take something else out. And it seems like Genji will actually be the ban here. This inhibits the brawl even further, so potentially we could be trying to play a bit of dive, but you still have to worry about control center, where now without a Genji, you might be seeing like a Sojourn Junkrat potentially. This is going to actually be a very interesting set of bans.
Yeah, I mean the bands here. I don't know. I like Genji a lot right now. I think he's very, very strong in general, especially if you've got someone piloting him that knows what's going on. Um, so knocking Genji out early is definitely going to be interesting. I agree. You're probably going to see the Sojourn. I don't know about so much about the Junkrat. I think Junkrat is a very interesting pocket pick on Control Center, but what I think is more likely is no matter what tank comes out here, we're probably going to be seeing a Tracer. That is more than likely what's going on. But enough yapping about the bans. Let's get to meeting our teams. First up, going to be Mental Institution. It is going to be on the Cassidy, Galaxy on the Tracer, Captain Crunch on the tank, Complex and Water in that back line. I mean, Mental Institution has proven themselves to be a very, very, very good team throughout the season thus far, coming into the final stretch, looking to guarantee themselves a top 3 finish here tonight.
I don't know how. I just looked it up on the team sheet out of curiosity. Somehow the little emoticon there is supposed to be pronounced cars. Figure that one out. But something that's not as hard to pronounce over on YE Snowfall's side, they've got people who have actual names, including but not limited to Turtle Boy and Raven on that DPS line. I say that and immediately see their tank name. I'm going to say Zexiel.
I'm thinking something. Yeah, that actually sounds right. I was thinking like Zeziel.
Well, no, because that'd be Z. So Zexiel. It's crazy. We have team sheets. We didn't look at them anyway. But then Blossom and Suzuka on the support line here. Again, this Snowfall squad, they've been around CGL for a while, but again, they've always sort of had to sort of earn their way in, not necessarily being able to punch up the way they want to. But now, like I was saying, this could be their opportunity. But guess what? We're not going in game yet because somebody disconnected. Why does this happen to us, Fletch?
Getting a little bit silly. It was Blossom that decided this game was not worth it. Fair enough, I suppose. But because of that, I really can't trust what we saw in the game, which is fine, I guess. So we really still don't know what's going on. The map probably going to get reset here. We're not going to get to see what we saw in there, which the first map was going to be Garden, which if anywhere is going to be like super duper flexible on, or not even super duper flexible, but some kind of flexible off of some sort of brawl comp, that would have been the one. But no guarantee that we go back there as the game gets reset. So still really no information to give y'all about what the teams are planning on rolling out on.
Yeah, we just have to simply wait and see here. But again, it's just simply just trying to see what it can be, as we thought we had a reconnect, but apparently Blossom has left again. Blossom's rejoined. This could be heat, could be fun. Could we actually get into the game? Find out next time. By the way, pulled up the team sheets while we were just sitting here yapping, waiting. The only person who gave a pronunciation for either of these teams is Excelsior, so appreciate that. And so just great, just absolutely great. I appreciate these teams. They're doing so much. But it seems like everybody's in lobby now. I no longer have to lose my mind. And hopefully in a moment you'll get to see the beautiful Lijiang Tower. And it seems like this is Garden to start.
Yeah, we don't need to reset. Not at all. So we're actually going to get to play the game now. And speaking to that, at least it's the only guy on the team that actually needs to give us help pronouncing the name. So that's cool. Others on the other side, Cars, I guess.
Yeah.
You know what?
It looks like it should be like a happy face, right? But there's no happy connector. It's just
carrots.
That's heat. That's heat. I like that.
So it's looking like it is actually going to be a sort of a dive-ish mirror. Juno break back lines. We're going to see the Tracer versus the Sombra and the Diva versus the Hazard here. So I kind of like Snowfall's comp a little bit better just because Sombra's not very good. But we will see as we get into this game here. Just a little bit of spam coming out from the mental institution side with that sojourn from the bridge. Both teams really not wanting to go out very far at all. Trying to put a little bit of pressure onto Captain Crunch is that Tracer as they push into the building now. Over to the point goes YE. Snowfall hack out onto the Mega Health Pack from Galaxy. Now going to be looking towards this brig. Unfortunately, that Shield Bash will get Suzuka away from Galaxy. Still no casualties. Hack out onto the Diva, who will lose out on the boosters. Was in the middle of that animation. Could not get away. And that will break this fight wide open. Well, it should have broken this fight wide open for Mental Institution. But Suzuka and Turtle Boy have decided that no.
Yeah, absolutely not. And that's sort of the value that Tracer can provide over the Sombra, right? Sombra is much more sort of team-oriented, can't operate as a solo agent, whereas Tracer simply can, right? She has the power between the blinks, the recall to do any and everything she needs to. Good shout for Mental Institution to start that off by burning the Diva mech, but not being able to capitalize after is not a strong start to the round, as now they're having to try to approach once again here. The Hazard's in kind of alone, actually.
Able to back around the corner, though. Still, okay, finally joined by Water. Okay. I'm not really sure what's happening on the other side of the pond. A little bit of a virus eaten there by Zexiel right to the dome piece. Zexiel spamming pulse bomb ready to go here for Turtle Boy. Gonna look for it. Not quite gonna find the stick, but that is okay because Raven has popped. We'll just say Cars. That will be a very difficult fight for Mental Institution to win because that is most of their damage.
Yeah, as Raven, 9 HP. Please somebody turn and heal Raven. Super crucial there, but they're still fighting.
How is Turtle Boy alive? That is unreal. Blossom does end up going down there, but not being able to take down the one person in the downpour is brutal, and that's just going to be the point to Snowfall.
Yeah, but there was like 2 fights maximum here. You're going to have a little bit of a touch here. The hazard makes it through the window, but you're still pushing into a bomb, a rally, an orbital. But the EMP
hits 2, but Galaxy's just dead. There's nobody to follow up on it. The EMP is strong, but it just doesn't matter if nobody else is there. The overclock from Raven finds a lot of value as well, and it's just Captain Crunch. No more. Why Snowfall lock up Garden pretty effectively.
Yeah, I mean, that was just so... Don't get me wrong, you know, Snowfall played that amazing. I think back to that fight where they lost the Diva mech, but still brought it back. And Mental Institution, though, on the other side, just didn't play well at all. They took, like, 2 proper fights and then an OT fight after the fact, where they were already sort of outnumbered. They just had to try to get onto the point any way, shape, or form they could. And it's just, overall, a very baffling round indeed here from the side of Mental Institution. You know, playing that Sombra, not really working out the way they want to. Now on Control Center, trying to play a little bit more orthodox with the Ramatra. The Symmetra could just be a teleport out of spawn, could be real. Only time will tell on that one. Meanwhile, Snowfall coming out very similar comp, but instead of the Diva, it'll be the Zarya here. This potentially trying to be a read on their version of Brawl.
All right, going back in here to the Control Center. Captain Crunch pops that Nemesis form, rotates around very quickly, I may add. Not really finding much in the pummel damage there. Not really what you want, and that's really not what you want. Raven on the flank is killed out complex, and why is Snowfall continue to run?
I mean, yeah. Like this Zarya, I was definitely going to be doubting it, but it's holding space as well as it's a interestingly good counter to the Symmetra, right? It's not something like a Ram where you can just build beam off of it, because in turn the Zarya will just build her beam off of you, so you have to be incredibly careful if you're Galaxy where that damage is going.
Well, Zexiel is not happy. Beaten down by Captain Crunch there. Now it's a bit of a spam battle mid-range between Cars and Raven, and the flip will come through, and oh, nice stagger there out on to Turtle Boy.
Nice shots here from the Ashe. You know, the Ashe versus Sojourn debate, a lot of people would take the Sojourn here, but if you can get your Ashe in a nice position, then it certainly is going to help you out, especially with how close we are to Bob. For this next fight here, all it takes is a well-placed Dynamite or well-placed headshot, and you'll get there. But you have to be wary now as Turtle Boy is approaching with pulse.
Pressuring the point with nothing there just yet. No opportunity for us to use the recall. Turtle Boy using those blinks, taking that health pack, getting that blink back. Now sees Galaxy and no pulse bomb stick there. Wall comes up at the hand of Galaxy, and Turtle Boy now turning the attention to Cars here, but it's just going to be a quick disengage here for Snowfall.
I mean, you take that disengage, though, because now it's going to be dueling ults.
Yeah, Orbital Ray is down, and this Symmetra has been locking down at this point with these turrets. They have to turn the attention, and I mean, the Orbital Ray helping out Mental Institution to take that next fight as well.
Yeah, and also the investment of the overclock is just one that Raven wishes that they could have back, right? Just the unfortunate number of the situation. You threw it in when you didn't really have the follow-up there from the rest of your team. Now it's going to be a Graviton Surge versus still this Bob as well as the Annihilation here from Captain Crunch. It means that there's a lot of ability for Mental Institution to simply ward away this grab and not let Zexiel find the value with it.
All right, back up here, Bob in the hands of Cars. Going to enter the fray. Turtle Boy in wheels, trying to find something, but Cars is just rampaging from behind. YE Snowfall putting out so much damage now. The annihilation from Captain Crunch is just certainly going to be the end to this round. We will be going to a night market to determine the winner of Lijiang Tower.
2 separate rounds where the team that lost was on a confusing, unorganized comp. I appreciate the thought process of the Zarya here, but there's a reason you don't see it, right? Like, it's just a matter of being able to sustain these fights so much longer on options like the Ramatra and the Orisa that, you know, you're more likely to see. Even the Malga just has better sustain, right? Once those bubbles are forced out, Zarya just has no staying power on these objectives, and it just led to just being that much more difficult. Cars is asking if anybody would like to play Rivals. I don't think this is the time or place to ask for it. But yeah, we're switching it up here. The Malga is now going to be in play for Snowfall, with a May as well here to try to help punish onto this Ramatra, but we'll have to see if they can actually do it.
I mean, Symmetra's still going to get similar value here once they bunker down on this point to what we saw on Control Center. Captain Crunch on fire. Why does an Omnic need to breathe? That's pretty interesting. As the Nemesis form comes out, very lucky that Suzuka lives. Turtle Boy, not so much. That is just a quick and easy fight for Mental Institution as the staggers continue to roll through.
Yep. And they just keep going here. Again, you know, the level of sustain that Mental Institution have, as long as they live through the I forgot the name of it, the shout there for Malga, just being able to sustain that means that Mental Institution will have the upper hand in the fight every single time here. So just being careful of that cardiac is allowing Mental Institution to just keep on rolling.
All right, back in goes Zexiel, and just so low, so quickly. Need to live, and you just cannot. Everybody gets a piece of Zexiel, and everything is coming up Mental Institution.
Yeah, it's just still rolling. And again, this is without a Sojourn look that we normally see, right? Being able to force the Ashe and make it look as good right now is such a plus for Mental Institution, because Cars is just landing shot after shot here. Now with a wall annihilation for this fight, and Snowfall really having nothing. Sure, they're getting close to their own orbital, but they've just been so far behind this whole round.
Captain Crunch going back in, the fight occurring on the far side of the map. A nice little dynamite in there from Raven through the window. And Cars is under duress, getting some help in the back line as the orbital rays come down. The rally comes in and water just explodes. Turtle Boy not going to get an opportunity to follow up on their own Blizzard, but others will. So this is going to be a really tough fight. Now, YE Snowfall looked like they had it laid there, but just not enough to get through these. Oh, I don't think I've ever seen that happen, but now it's just Captain Crunch. Galaxy returns. Yeah, this is a fight that Snowfall should be able to win, right? Right?
I mean, you would assume so, but it's just that Malga now has to try to get something in the cage fight.
You have to use cage fight to kill Captain Crunch?
They're not even going to kill him.
That is absurd. I think they probably... They won't! Because Bob is on the point! And Cars from the off angle is just absolutely destroying any hope that YE Snowfall had, and that is brutal.
Brutal is the shortest word that I could put on top of that. I mean, yeah, that's almost baffling, right? Just the picks that Snowfall had in that fight to not be able to turn and capitalize. It feels just mind-bogglingly incorrect. Captain Crunch, again, the fact that Ramatra gets up to 800 HP just for popping into Nemesis form is kind of ridiculous, to be fair, but just plus damage reduction of armor, plus healers healing you. I mean, it's so crazy. I mean, clearly the Hazard was not a strong suit, but once being able to go over to the Ramatra, it simply was just overwhelming. Snowfall never really got a chance to find a foothold, and you know, that could be very telling for how this series is going to go. And when we're in a brawl-dominated meta like this, it kind of can force that playstyle time and again.
Now, after this map, I'm curious, like, what either team is gonna want to target to ban, right? Because I think everybody but the supports played multiple characters throughout the map. Like Zexiel played the Mauga, the Zarya. What did they play on the first sub map? I can't remember. Megalast, help me. Help me.
The first map, what? No, they played Diva. They were on like Diva.
Okay, yeah, they played Diva.
Diva, Sojourn, Tracer. Like the Tracer was a constant for most of it until Turtle Boy kind of just felt like there wasn't value being generated in the Tracer. But again, it was just a very odd sort of setup where the team that lost the round was sort of pivoting around on, instead of standard meta comps, just whatever struck them at the moment, right? Like I think maybe if you practiced the Zarya, you thought you cooked something up there that could be interesting. I get it, but overall, it just feels incredibly weird. At the end of the day, you just got to move past it if you're Snowfall. And it seems like their map choice could be indicating that they do not want to play the Brawl under any circumstances at all here, because they're going to be trying to take us to Numbani for map number 2.
Yeah, the only place where Brawl is particularly strong on Numbani is C, right at the very back of the map. I think this is pretty indicative of Snowfall wanting to run some variation of the dive. If I had to guess, probably Diva, because that's what we saw in Lijiang Tower. So I think that's my front runner for who Snowfall are going to want to play. On the other hand, I have no idea what Snowfall would want to ban. Because they kind of just got trounced by quite a few different characters last map. I think one good shout is probably the Ashe. Ashe is particularly strong with, like high ground control and the long sight lines on Numbani. So with the way that Cars was playing on Ashe on Lijiang Tower without the dominant long sight lines,
Yeah.
Okay, it's Hazard.
I was letting you cook there, but you seem to just see Hazard and your brain just shut down.
No, but I was cooking, right? Like that would have been a good ban, is the Ashe on Numbani, I feel like, for them. I don't understand the Hazard. I don't get it. They played super well against the Hazard, and I mean, Mental Institution played well on 2 separate tanks against them, right? Or the Ramatra is still going to be in play. I mean, I just don't get the Hazard pick.
I mean, so Hazard is shown to be maybe what the only sort of pseudo dive that Mental Institution can play against. And while you looked good against the Hazard, it maybe is just something you don't want to deal with. Maybe force it to more of the Diva or the Winston, something Mental Institution truly are out of their element on, could be the thought philosophy behind it. Granted, you're not going to see them attempt to try to force some sort of Brawl tank, at least for first and second point. Once you get into third point, maybe you can see about it, but to make this more of a dive situation, you take the Hazard out of the equation. That way the Diva may be able to really flourish. Mental Institution, on the other hand, now have their, sort of shot in the dark, and I'll be interested to see where this one ends up going. They banned Genji on the first round, not wanting to deal with that. To try to ban more dive elements, it could be a Tracer that they take out. They weren't really keen on running a Tracer themselves, so that could also be a good shout. But Mental Institution with the one playing Sombra!
These bans are pointless. I don't think I've seen 2 more useless bans in my life. Oh my god. So the bans are going to be Hazard, Sombra, which for sure, man. For sure. Yeah. I have nothing to say about this because there's nothing to say. Like, I think you spun the Hazard the best you could. I think that both of these bans are useless.
This reminds me of earlier this season when Nightmare Rotation they banned Doomfist because Dirt had locked Doom for a map and they had lost, and they just had to like self-sabotage themselves a bit. Um, Going to our lineups here, no substitutions on either side of it here. But again, just trying to focus back in on the dive. I mean, who knows? Maybe banning the Sombra is Mental Institution's way of saying that we're going to take an honest dive here. Maybe they're going to be able to show out on the Tracer here, see if they can match Turtle Boy. That being said, is one advantage of Mental Institution as well is I feel like first point especially, you can get away with the Ashe over the Sojourn just because you have such good sight lines for it. It's one of the few points in the map where you don't necessarily have to hard force the Sojourn. The other hit scan options are available.
They're playing Ramatra.
They're playing. Okay, so let me hold up. I'm gonna spin this, Your Honor. I'm cooking. All right,
cook it. Cook it.
So the idea here is
spin it, DJ.
You're gonna use the Ramatra with the Symmetra to teleport between the two main high grounds. Wherever Snowfall goes, that way you can get on top of them or get away from the dive, right? That is the thought philosophy here. Is it a good one? I'm not going to say because I'm not playing in these games. But, specifically against what Snowfall has here, since they're lacking a little bit of speed, as long as Mental Institution don't get antied on one of these teleporters, the thing that kind of declares exactly where you are, kind of like a big neon button for Ana to say, hey, anti here, it should go well for you.
All right. Let's see how this goes. As Snowfall will go through the low ground, the Symmetra will be effective at the very least delaying the D.Va here. Excelsior, are they gonna take a tick? No, they backed down off the point before they got the tick, and Turtle Boy's gonna lose out on the fight.
Yeah, I mean, Snowfall kind of losing this the only way that they can, which was to stay in the small room where once the Ramatra drops, he can hold everybody back in that small room. That's like the one thing you can't do with this comp for Snowfall. I mean, granted, I know playing in the open sounds scary with an Ashe and things like that. And again, this is what you're seeing the teleporter the entire attention is just being able to go back and forth. I think Snowfall needs to get themselves set up for a full entrenched dive.
Alright. Coming back up here. They're doing it again. They're going back through this low ground. Water is low, but Complex is just there to help keep that Juno healthy, and there's nobody really particularly fighting. Excelsior forces out the Nemesis form, so that will not be a factor in this upcoming fight. Okay, that is what they needed. They found the one person that was sectioned off from the rest of the team. Take down cars. Onto the high ground goes the rest of Mental Institution, looking for this Juno. Excelsior getting burned to a crisp right now. Yeah, this sim is just kind of being a nightmare. The D.Va does receive the nano, does able to get rid of Galaxy here. The wake up on to Captain Crunch, who was sleeping for a moment. Finally, they find their opportunity. We see the value of the dive versus the brawl here early on Numbani, and they will be able to grab point A.
And like I was saying, Snowfall, they just had to take their time and set that up. I think that it was still not set up in the most optimal way. Playing in that small little room below is kind of the only way that Mental Institution was going to find value with this brawl. But now that we're moving on to the streets phase here, Mental Institution, they're really going to have to actually try to commit resources potentially over to cars here just to be able to help hold these high grounds. Otherwise, you're going to constantly give this space, putting your Ashe at the low ground here and make it more and more difficult for them to find their value.
Mental Institution through the high ground. They've got 5 ultimates. Turtle Boy with the pulse bomb ready to go. They're going to use that melee to get rid of the turret there. Not going to invest the pulse bomb just yet. And I mean, that is, Symmetra is very, very low, but Galaxy somehow weathering that storm, and Excelsior, go inside! You don't have the resources to find a squish with that remake!
the rage brought out by that one here as Mental Institution take the fight.
I don't
To
know
be
what's
fair, it was a
happening,
pretty-
Megalas.
It was a pretty positive ult trade for Snowfall, right? You got out the Symbol and Bull support ultimates in exchange for just your own rally and then the bomb being forced. So now you have dueling bombs to work with as well as another nano boost here. The Annihilation can be scary if Captain Crunch can find somebody stuck in this slow field, but overall you're already seeing the Ramatra feel the pressure.
Ooh, Raven got taken incredibly low. Now you need to find a big sleep. And they just wake him up immediately!
Fine,
Okay,
he dies.
He dies. Excellent. Great job. Don't wake up a sleeping, annihilating Ramatra. Overwatch 101. That may bite them in the butt later on in the game. Just don't do it. Good fight, though, guys.
Good fight. Snowfall did have to use their Bob here, so Cars still has this Bob, so even though, yeah, the Bob's probably going to have to be thrown out to be the one to make it to cart in time. But now it's just going to be a kite from Snowfall here as they have to wait out this Bob for the next engage.
Still pulse bomb in the hands of Turtle Boy. Oh, that was picture perfect from Turtle Boy. Beautiful stick. Gonna try and take care of the Ashe, and Zexiel will come in for the assist. Gonna be another pretty good fight here for YE Snowfall. Gonna be able to cap out on B now 3 minutes.
3 minutes in the bank to keep it rolling here. Like we were talking about, though, this is where the brawl can start to feel a little bit more powerful, right? Just because there's not as much high ground to take advantage of. It's going to be more of just a straight up fight, a straight up approach, if you will. I do have a little bit of concern about Galaxy's value here on the stem. These sightlines are incredibly long, and that beam, while it certainly can reach the distance, it might not be able to close the distance all the time without the help of that speed ring.
Alright. YE Snowfall getting ready to head in here. Just about 5 ultimates in the hands. Galaxy antied, but they're not able to get rid of either Galaxy nor Complex, and without Turtle Boy. Okay, they're actually going to invest in the nano boost here. Rally in the face of Zexiel. Do not want to get D-Max, so Zexiel will fly away briefly, and that is exactly what you did not want to happen. Now the teleporter in to clean up these late kills. Yeah, that's what you want there. Oh, interesting.
Yeah, the Dynamite's going to be able to take Raven out of it at the last minute here, but Mental Institution, meanwhile, again, just these trades back and forth. They're using these sim walls in very smart, strategic ways, but the fact that they had to force the rally there in a 4v5 simply because the Diva was nanoed is an absolute tragedy. They do have an Orbital Ray plus Annihilation combo to work with, but with a Bob looming on the other side and that rally still from Suzuka, it's going to be hard to live.
Rally is out from Suzuka, but Blossom. Oh my god, Turtle Boy! You see Raven on the off angle, but with this Annihilation coming down. Okay, so they're going to be able to kite the Annihilation. Captain Crunch going around the back, the front, the side, has a Nemesis form ready to go. The only ultimate in the hands of Zexiel, but Turtle Boy receives a quick and swift death there at the hands of Cars. Pretty easy.
Yeah, both these teams have kind of tapped out their ultimate bank now. Sure, you have the Diva Bomb, but that's not really something you ever want to use offensively here. But Zexiel clearly playing a little bit more aggressive, knowing they have that chance at second life with the Diva Bomb online. And now with Cars having the Bob here, this attack could get stifled out here with only 40 seconds to go.
Bob in the hands of Cars here is going to be pivotal in this final 30 seconds of the YE Snowfall attack. Can deny so much space. They know Turtle Boy is behind, forcing out the recall, but Water is the first casualty. Down to a 4v5 and now back up to a 5v5. Bob takes out Turtle to even the numbers once again. Zexiel losing out on that mech, but the self-destruct invested. We see how hard it has been to kill Captain Crunch in these, late game scenarios, but because a Raven decapitated Water there, and Captain Crunch did not have the Nemesis form, it's going to be desperation touches here from Mental Institution. Will not be another. No time on the clock, but a completion is better than nothing.
Oh yeah, completion is absolutely amazing here. especially now with the shoe being on the other foot, right? I'm especially interested in how this attack is going to go because, Mental Institution clearly do not want to play dive. They hate dive at any and all costs here. Simply forcing the Ramatra the entire way. And they made it look pretty solid utilizing the Symmetra TP in ways that Brawl teams have in the past, sort of making themselves a pseudo dive with it. But that being said, it's only going to get you so far. There is a limit here, and we have to see what that limit is, right? Especially if they're intending to do this for the attack. I'm just interested to see if they're actually going to commit to it or if they're finally going to sort of give up the goat, as it were, and switch over to a more divey composition.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about coming up on the attack for Mental Institution. It's going to be difficult. At the very least, more difficult than what we saw there, right? Because they had some great fight in them in those first 2 points, regardless of the comp disadvantage that they were in, right? So it would not surprise me to see Mental Institution be able to break this this more vertical defense from YE Snowfall. But it's not going to be, particularly easy on it Noombani to use this Ramatra, break through this Diva composition. And, you talked about it a little bit before how YE Snowfall were going through the low ground. Mental Institution going to do the exact same thing and then TP out onto the high ground. Ravenous Vortex down, forces Raven off the high ground. And there is the verticality. This comp doesn't have much of it, but that stuff that it does have, if you can surprise the team, yeah, it's excellent. And they just rip right through the defense.
And Snowfall, again, they kind of hesitate. Like, it was very clearly telegraphed, right? You had your Ashe playing forward, you saw that rotation, you knew the Ramatra was coming through the low ground, and when you're in that situation, right, the Symmetra teleporter needs to get antied almost immediately, right? You're going to get it onto at least one person, normally 2 or 3 as they teleport through at a group, but, Blossom deciding to hold that one, maybe not having it, just puts them at an absolute disadvantage there. You have to be quick with these antis, and you have to be decisive.
Okay, well, an excellent pick there early on the cars from Turtle Boy, which now this Mental Institution squad is starting to melt. Very, very quick and decisive fight is definitely what Snowfall needed after that first one.
Yeah, and now it's just going to be able to reestablish up on these high grounds, right? This payload is something that they have to worry about. You can't split from anybody. Turtle Boy, meanwhile, lurking, knowing the pulse is online.
Okay, well, they turn around, actually. Definitely an accident there by Complex to turn around, but it kept Turtle Boy off their backs, TP up onto the high ground again, and Turtle Boy will lose their life. The nano boost onto this Diva is, we'll call it annoying for Captain Crunch, especially as soon as he got antied, so YE Snowfall will be able to dissuade the high ground push for the time being.
Yeah, but again, it's another teleporter where we're not anti-ing until way later. Sure, it worked out that time where you got the kill on Captain Crunch, but like throw a dynamite anti onto these TPs and watch how quickly Galaxy is not going to be able to survive when they come through them.
Now we see the high ground push again, and Bob onto the high ground. This will be an easy one to kite, unfortunately, for Mental Institution, especially with Turtle Boy absolutely going nuts into the backline, taking down both supports, and yeah, an unfortunate investment on Bob from Cars.
Yeah, unfortunately,
Zexiel.
Yeah, Zexiel has to live here and does just that. Now it's going to be the big one, though, because you're going to see a TP with this Annihilation from Captain Crunch, and that's not as easy to live as a Bob, right? It's not something you can sleep and run away from because of how often they've been waking it up, like you said.
All right, well, a bit of a bait there this time with the teleporter. Not actually going to use it. 3 ultimates in the hands of YE Snowfall, the Nano Boost being one of them. And it will be an Orbital Ray forced out, and a great anti on a Complex, but it's traded immediately onto Raven, and no shot. Galaxy gets away from that, body blocked from actually killing Zexiel, who continues to lay waste to this team, but now it is a 1 versus 2 or a 2 versus 2. Okay, Turtle Boy has come back into this fight, but not much of a fight it is right now. Okay, maybe.
Well, yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you gotta regroup, get the rest of the team there. You still have a little bit of meterage, plus between Diva and Tracer, you have a pretty solid contest! Turtle Boy.
Okay. Yeah, very, very unlucky there. Now, the Photon Barrier from Galaxy going to force the cap in for Mental Institution because of the kite. Now, they've got 3 minutes, and they're still finding picks late.
Yeah, and again, this is where the brawl composition gets a little more powerful. You don't have to rely on those teleporters as much here. Raven just standing in the open, throwing a dynamite. What are you doing?
Okay. Coming in here. Car is the only one with an ultimate for Mental Institution. Suzuka, the only one for Snowfall. Cars knows where the Ash is now because Raven has decided to try and keep that flank in check. Bob in the hands of Cars, going to enter the fray, go into the back line, and Galaxy, unfortunately, is also there. So, not going to be a fun time for the supports here of YE Snowfall, and it's looking like, at this point, they're going to be in a win-or-draw scenario.
I mean, yeah, nobody's going to be able to get out and touch this one unless the Tracer, yeah, does just that, right? The blinks into the recall here already forced Turtle Boy's not going to be long for this world. And, I mean, Snowfall, what started out as a map that was so clean for them, they just simply lost control. They ended up staggering themselves out time and again here, and, you know, while it wasn't necessarily the cleanest from the attackers, Mental Institution simply kept getting away with it. They found their moments where they needed to, and they just, you know, just kept winning.
Yeah, I mean, they're very clever, right? Because in general, this composition should not work on Numbani, of all places, into a very, very much more vertical comp in the Diva, right? But Galaxy is using these teleporters massively, and, you know, both using them to go up onto the high ground and also, you know, bait them. Right, we saw a couple of fights there late where Mental Institution just forced YE Snowfall to back off just by virtue of putting up the teleporter, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that teleporter, you know, usually it's not that much of a threat. Most people don't consider it when they're thinking about, Symmetra. You're thinking about the turrets or the photon beam that builds up over time. No. Mental Institution are using this Symmetra teleporter as their engagement tool.
Yeah, and so now we're, again, having to try to punish this engagement tool. It's really been the weakness of Snowfall right now. They've made some substitution, or some swaps rather, of heroes right now. Playing the Juno Brig themselves are a little more sustained. And Turtle Boy's on the Junkrat. Maybe this will be the way they punish the TPs?
Here's the high ground push, and there is a pick on it to Cars on the Ash. Now jumping up behind, going to try and find some spam, finding a little bit of damage, already 50%. Gonna find one on the way out. It's just Captain Crunch back left in this staircase.
Yeah, but I mean, you say that, but Captain Crunch is still a menace here. Still, look at this, pretty much full HP thanks to Complex, who finally goes down here. But these staggers, this is a good start to a defense here, but I feel like you're going to need a lot more for Snowfall. Again, it's just about disrupting those teleporters. Even getting a single pick here, this time hopefully without losing anybody, should be doing a lot better. Especially because, again, when you lose members like that, like Suzuka is a prime example, right? That Brig wasn't in the fight, now only 18% to a rally while everybody else is miles ahead.
Now coming back in, and Turtle Boy just absolutely from the top ropes taking down Galaxy there. And the engagement tool is just gone for Mental Institution, so they will back off here.
Yeah, and I mean, this is, again, exactly what I was hoping for. They're finally starting to punish and group up in the ways they need to do what they, you know, punish these teleporter plays and things like that. But there's only so much you can do at the end of the day, and currently these looks from them right now are doing exactly that.
getting better here now. Galaxy trying to put some pressure on Turtle Boy, who's going to let the Rip Tire loose. Drop water rather for the trade. Gonna go in, gonna throw down the trap, start spamming down to the players on the low ground. Tracer forced to use the recall here. Ash on the high ground, thrown up into the sky. The shots do not connect for Turtle Boy, but that's okay. The Ash can't get back up there for a little while longer, but the Lucio can, and Cars does come up. Mid-air shot. It was an excellent fight. Well, I say that. Raven comes back on the Widowmaker. Annihilation forced to be used by Captain Crunch. Cars does find the pick here on to Raven. The Diva loses out on the mech, and for as good as that fight was, they had 150 seconds to run through. 2.5 minutes. They get through all of it, but cannot quite stop the Cap. Mental Institution, match point.
Yeah, and this is going to be a uphill battle if I've ever seen one for Snowfall, right? Because clearly you've shown your strength in the dive, and you've shown, the weakness of not wanting to play dive from the side of Mental Institution. But the fear here becomes with especially how this map played out. They've shown that they will force the brawl any and everywhere. So even if you take them to the most ideal dive map in the world, say you take that one away, what comes next, right? You're going to be giving them 2 map selections potentially where they get to pick where we're going and things of that nature, where maybe you're going to have to try to take this brawl mirror straight up. And unfortunately, if you're not ready for it, that's going to be how Mental Institution just walks away with this one.
Yeah, I think it is worth noting that Watchpoint Gibraltar is in the map pool. I think the Escort map pool is in general a little bit more conducive to dive. So they do have, kind of that up their sleeves should they so choose. Because, for as good as, we believe Numbani to be on the dive, Watchpoint Gibraltar is even better for it. It's way more vertical in way more places. Even Objective C is, pretty dominant for the dive. So, you got to keep that in mind if you're Mental Institution. Watchpoint Gibraltar is still on the board. But as we move forward, YE Snowfall have got some time to think about if that's really what they want to do right now, or if that's all they can do. So we're going to cut to a short break, and when we come back, it'll be Mental Institution trying to throw YE Snowfall down into the lower bracket.
Yeah.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Right now, Mental Institution on match point here in the winners semi-finals. They've looked very, very good, right? They've been incredibly. I was going to say flexible. That's not true. Not even a little bit. They've been intelligent with their inflexibility, though, and that has gained them a lot of momentum in this series, running the rush wherever, whenever they want. Like you said before we went to the break, they look good right now.
Yeah, I mean, Mental Institution, they've got nothing to worry about, right? Their TP strategies, again, they're, paying dividends. Snowfall needs to find better ways to punish that. Oh, my Discord is broken. So the stream can hear me, but Fletch can't hear me. That's fun.
Oh, okay. Okay, you are muted in Discord. All right.
No. See, no, my Discord likes to do this thing where people can't hear me in Discord, but the stream heard me the entire time. That's what's great about VMix. Shout out to Hippie. So you just look crazy. Anyway, as I was saying, yeah, we're gonna be heading on over to a map that maybe is gonna push more of those flexibility standards here to see how it's gonna go. It's gonna be Watchpoint Gibraltar, like you called here, another very heavy dive map in the pool. And again, I'm expecting to see the Ramatra TP around. I would be interested to see if we're going to see more of the Ashe play, or if we're going to lean it over towards a Widowmaker per se. I know there was like a Desperation Widow from Snowfall at the very end, but Widows kind of like to become common on Gibraltar simply because the sightlines are long enough that she's the best hit skin that could take advantage of them. But Snowfall are quick with a ball
What is
ban to start.
happening?
Nobody's
What
played
is
Wrecking
happening?
Ball, but sure.
What is happening? Ban Symmetra!
Ban anything that inhibits the composition of the other team.
Oh, Snowfall, y'all are so good. What are you doing? I know y'all are smarter than this. Okay, so they ban the Wrecking Ball. Worthless. Exclusively to protect the Diva, which, fine, whatever, I guess.
At that point,
Sure.
ban Ramatra, no?
Yes!
If you want to protect Diva, just ban Ram. Like, you're instead shooting a random tank, and now the Ana's going to be out of the mix, which forces the Brig Juno on both sides, when the Ana was definitely getting... Again, there was the value being generated mainly by Snowfall on the Ana here, but again, those nades weren't connecting with the teleporter anyway, so maybe this will pan out better since they weren't necessarily using it. But yeah, overall, just these bans, it's a little bit mystifying to say the least from the situation here. But again, it'll be the last map for that Snowfall can pick. My words left me there, and I was trying to say they also are going to have a substitution with Smurfing coming in on the side of Mental Institution here for that support line to try to help out and maybe bolster it.
I don't think they need much bolstering, but Smurfing can play, I guess. One thing, right, that looked pretty decent near the end of Numbani, and we talked about it during the break. The Junkrat. I think it's going to be more difficult to get the same value on Watchpoint Gibraltar. The teleporting is not going to be happening in the same constricted areas. That is if we even get a teleporter at all, because Captain Crunch on the defense is rolling out on the Hazard. We're going to get a Torbjorn here out of Mental Institution. So no Symmetra to be played. So a bit of a comp swap up here. Captain Crunch and Mental Institution looked a little bit sluggish on the Hazard on map number 1, switched over to the Ramatra, and it's kind of been the story from here. And we do see actually a substitution coming in for YE Snowfall as well that wasn't called out. It's Armand on the tank, so going to be playing a Winston comp.
I mean, yeah, and the Winston comp a little more standard than the Diva here, going to give you your options. Turtle Boy, it's just an initial TP play to get everybody into the positions they want to be here. But yeah, so now it's just going to be sort of the setup between these two teams, wanting to see it where they can go. But yeah.
Raven and Cars going at it. Nice shots from Raven to put down Cars early. No chance to respond from the Ash of Mental Institution. And the dive will continue to take space through this high ground.
Yeah, and now being able to take these initial high grounds is massive here, with the blue box being caught out right now. It's going to be a good place for these attackers to hold. You see the Hazard trying desperately to hold it here. Does have the HP, but unfortunately just does not have the members yet to fully fight it.
Alright, well, Mars has returned, so we'll see what they can find. Nothing really from this angle, to be honest with you, as Raven is on the high ground, joined by Turtle Boy. Sees both supports. Okay, hi, Captain Crunch. They get the healing on to the Ash there, but they do end up losing Turtle Boy in the process. That will be... I thought that'd be a bigger dynamite than it was, as Cars backs up on it to the staircase, on the high ground. Captain Crunch has to use the leap to get forward. This wall, annoying for Armand. Trying to take down this Winston is Captain Crunch, jumping up to the high ground now, where the fight will, I suppose, continue. Bubble thrown down as Turtle Boy joins the fray there with their Winston. And without Raven, the long-range pressure is gone. Dynamite helps to take down Turtle Boy, and Mental Institution will be able to remain on Objective A.
Yeah, being able to hold here is massive because now Snowfall has to stage all over again here. You see the members that are still trapped, trying desperately to get out this Kiriko, but we're actually still committing here.
And, yeah, that's going to be brutal. Luckily, well, oh my god, they're investing ultimates into this.
I mean, that's a lot of ultimates invested. That's Kitsune, Russia, Bob, everything you could ever ask for here. Yeah, that's about it. I'm very confused as to what's going on from Snowfall there. They're now switching it up off of the Winston over to it was the Jungle Queen for a moment, but I think the Hazard was the intended goal here. Now you're going to be going into this next one. You have dueling Bobs here. You're going to get Turtle Boy towards a Dragon Blade, so if you can combo that with a sustain from the rally to give that Genji the extra health for whenever Turtle Boy chooses to go in, it could be helpful here. But at the end of the day, it is, starting to look a little bit like, Snowfall's got to find some level of positioning here.
Over to the other high ground goes Captain Crunch. 40 seconds on the clock for YB Snowfall. Armand on the low ground, taking the brunt of that dynamite. The dynamite heads up to the high ground. Cars is just going to step away from it. Not much going the way of YE Snowfall. They're going to try to force it to go their way. Both Bobs invested. The blue one is going to be on the objective, and not the Ray Jacks. Oh no, they actually get the orbital ray off. So it's not really going to find a whole lot of value because Mental Institution could not catch up to the kite of Snowfall. But Raven getting the better in the close range fight of Cars will mean that Snowfall is still alive here on their attack.
Yeah, and being able to stay alive, even if it is, by the skin of your teeth, is still something here. The further that you can get this payload, the better it's going to look for you. But yeah, I mean, right now, Snowfall, they did have to tap the bank to get this one over the line, so now they have to worry about a pulse bomb. And a little bit of a difference in terms of like the Hazard and the break ult specifically. The Mental Institution have an advantage on, as we're already fighting over the spaceship.
Yep. This Kitsune Rush going to have to be nice, as that is brutal. Suzuka just watching helplessly as that dynamite runs across the map. Raven going down to the wall, and nice shots from Cars to put this fight the way of Mental Institution.
Yeah, just quick as you like, a good fight for them here. And so now coming into this next one, you have to worry because obviously Captain Crunch has that downpour ready to go. It's going to have no cleansing Suzu, or the cleansing Suzu is going to have to be perfect rather to try to keep everybody from getting caught up in that one. And also, again, you have to worry about managing this payload.
Head level shots playing Valorant right now. Gonna see the downpour there from Captain Crunch. Captain Crunch himself will not be able to follow up on it, but Galaxy very certainly will. Now 60 seconds on the clock for Snowfall.
Yeah, and with that dwindling time remaining here, again, you know, Snowfall, they've got to be able to mount some level of attack here. They were able to force out, like we were talking about, getting that downpour and stuff out, now having a downpour of your own. A Kitsune Rush as well. This TP.
Yeah, a little bit of peekaboo from the Tracers. That was kind of silly. They didn't even shoot at each other. But Turtle Boy is in the back line right now, so there could be a bit of a pinch as Armand gets pretty low pretty fast. Looking for the opportunities. It's still Tracer hunting season here for Galaxy, but their prey does get away. Downpour in from Armand, who's getting very low. Galaxy not quite able to grab the Mega Health Pack. Could take down this Juno, but it will be Suzuka going down to Captain Crunch instead. Galaxy deciding to take over here. This fight getting as razor close as it possibly could. Bob does enter the fray, but at the cost of Raven's life. Point will continue to roll, but not for too much longer as the fight will begin one more time. They need these touches.
Yeah, and now the Hazard's trying to touch here. The Bob is going to be waited out here, and yeah, that's going to be where it stops here. Just not able to do anything else. Snowfall only has about 1.5 points to hold here to try to stop Mental Institution from pushing ahead.
Right. Very, very good defense. You know, we talked about Mental Institution as this incredibly rigid team, right, that was going to play a brawl no matter wherever they were at, right? But we saw the flexibility coming out of Mental Institution finally, right? It's basically the same comp as what they were running before, just a little bit more divey with Galaxy finally opting to play the Tracer. And playing very, very well at that on the Tracer. You know, the Hazard is kind of like a hybrid brawl dive tank, and Captain Crunch is towing that line beautifully between getting in the face of Snowfall and helping Galaxy to take down these vulnerable targets. So we finally have seen this Mental Institution squad flex off of their hard-nosed, you know, fist in the dirt type of composition that they were running before, and still having a lot of success.
Yeah, and this Hazard comp, like, again, you sort of wonder why it wasn't all coming together on that first round of Li Shang, but at the end of the day, it does look slightly better for them here, as now the Astral has become a Widow duel without either realizing it. Oh my goodness. That's a way to start the round.
I don't know if Raven knows that the Widow duel is happening yet still. So, great first pick there, but with Turtle Boy trading out onto Galaxy, not going to be beautiful, but they are going to get it through to the bridge here pretty much for free. Turtle Boy has to back down off the high ground as Captain Crunch continues to just put in some damage as much as humanly possible. When did Turtle Boy lose all that HP? They do get the healing going, but this is more just a poke duel right now than anything.
Yeah, and so...
Oh my god, hi Turtle Boy.
Yeah, just a quick little pop-up here, as the Torbjorn has made it into finding the Symmetra, and now, again, Turtle Boy trying to set up on this high ground in a very unique way.
Well, there's another win for Cars in the Widow duel. Sees Turtle Boy. Maximum power in from Turtle Boy, and even the shots could not help Cars there. Nice shots there, but Galaxy does get that trade, but Armand with that passive damage from the block gonna be able to drop that Sombra. So it will be a nice little Mental Institution victory here as they force, or rather, YE Snowfall victory here as they force Mental Institution back.
Yeah, forcing them back for the time being here, trying to buy a little bit more time for the defense, get everybody back online here. You're going to see dueling downpours here as both hazards are close to that one. We're pretty much even on ult charge across the board here, but the discrepancy being the Ash, which just got switched over by cars here. So now trying to find a little bit more in this fight.
Right? Okay, well the fight is over because somehow Armand finds a 2K with the wall. Didn't quite get to see who was dealing all the damage that led up to that, but both those players dead. There's basically no fight for Mental.
Yeah, no fight, and it'll just be Armand jumping out here. Looks incredible on the hazard here. And not having to expend the downpour, right? Doing that with just one of the jagged walls, that's exactly, you know, a fight you are more than happy to take. Now Mental Institution has gone over to a double hit scan approach here. Not something you generally see all the time, but it is just, again, simply trying to bait out this Tracer and specifically punish this Torb whenever Turtle Boy gets close. But, again, we'll have to see if it's actually able to come to fruition.
All right, forcing that hazard out. We're going to see the wall. The investment of the downpour from Captain Crunch will lead to the inevitable death of Armand, and Raven is kind of lost in the sauce, unfortunately. Blinking into the wall. I've been there before.
Upside is Snowfall. If they can get a proper touch here, they have all 5 ultimates to work with, right? Whereas it's just going to be the support ults from Mental Institution. That being said, it seems like they just can't get out, especially with the loss of Blossom here. And so now they're going to have to try to hold these ults for point 2.
Yeah, and the unfortunate truth is here, they really don't have much room to give, right? We see a fight here in the staircase. It's pretty going to be inconsequential, I feel like. Pulsebomb invested, but Raven goes down. Yeah, this is going to be rough because, I mean, they're already halfway there, Mega.
Yeah, it's already moving, and just, again, we're staggering ourselves out. It's just a very... It's almost like baffling, right? Snowfall feels like they've sort of already given up on this series for some reason, and now the ultimates are just being thrown out.
Well, the downpour, actually, I've never seen a downpour final blow before, so that's interesting. But that was everything. That was everything. Not a single thing left. So
everything in the kitchen sink is what they won that fight, but now have 2 minutes to try to hold. They've got to worry about Galaxy having this Deadeye, as well as Complex having the rally to provide that extra sustain with only about 5 to 6 meters left to give. It's just an unfortunate situation, to say the least. But yeah, we're just going to have to see how this defense goes.
Here is said Deadeye, and Galaxy just consistently being damaged by the wall, but it's not enough to break through that damage reduction of the Deadeye. There's going to be the downpour from Captain Crunch, takes down Suzuka, and Mental Institution coast into the winners finals here over YE Snowfall 3-0.
Yeah, and Mental Institution, they keep it rolling here, doing exactly what they need to, and it's everything that they could hope for and more. Right now, like you said, in the winner's final right now, that means a guaranteed top 3 finish at the absolute worst, but I promise their eyes are going to be on the prize. You know, how much farther are they going to be able to go with, you know, maybe these more one-tricky compositions until that hazard came out? Only time will tell here, but Mental Institution really is just showing how good they are at the game.
Yeah, I mean, that was dominant. Right, I kind of didn't expect it to be that one-sided, especially after the first map, or the first sub-map, rather, of Lijiang Tower. Mental Institution kind of just decided that, screw it, we're not going to mess with any of the cute stuff. We're just going to play what we know works for us. And for as unconventional as a Symmetra Ramatra composition tends to be, they played around it perfectly, right? I mean, YE Snowfall could not adapt to that Symmetra before it was too late. Especially on Lijiang Tower where they went the Junkrat, but they only had a limited amount of time to adapt at that point. You can't go into a 2-minute and 30-second one-tick situation and that be the time that you finally decide, okay, now I'm going to start, playing around what they're doing. And it got them punished, right? So now they're in the lower bracket. They move on. They're going to be playing Retirement Home in the lower round 4. Well, a Mental Institution move on to the winners final. We are going to cut to a short break here, Mega, and we're going to get an interview from our rep from Mental Institution.
Name straight, new wave. Name straight, new wave. Name straight, new wave. Name straight, new wave. Name straight, new wave.
All right, welcome back. We got Captain Crunch here from Mental Institution. Y'all get the win. Y'all are top 3 guaranteed. How y'all feeling right now?
Oh, we feel amazing. Mostly because Turtle Boy ditched us halfway through the season to play for $20 a game. So it just feels good to, to show him that he should have stayed with us and stuck with us. But we feel really good.
Ooh. I mean, yeah, that's certainly a brutal thing when you've got that sort of history with the opponent here. But going into this match, right, what we saw from y'all was a lot of stubbornness to stay on that Ramatra column to till Kingdom Come. Is that just something y'all have practiced and you're comfortable on, or just simply you didn't want to do anything else?
Oh, okay. No, the sim Ramatra was the first time we had ever ran that ever. And
what?
We just stuck with it because we knew that they're going to be better in that Diva Mirror, and they banned out my hazard, and the ball is just going to get rolled by the brig. So we just ran it down and said if it works, it works. If it doesn't, we die. That was the first time we ever played that.
Okay, that is surprising
That's
to say
unreal.
the least. Yeah, that is unreal. And again, looking forward, now that you're guaranteed top 3, right? There's obviously a lot of big dogs left in this tournament, including yourselves. If you had to pick someone who you're the most excited to go up against, who would it be?
Definitely Dill Ducks. They just qualified for OWCS, and we beat Amplify when they were in OWCS, and we want to see if we can do it again against Dill Ducks. That's who we're looking to face next week, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I mean, that match coming up tomorrow, that's going to have a lot of eyes on it, right? Because, I mean, two teams that have been or are in OWCS should be a good one tomorrow for sure. But now, Captain Crunch, before we send you out of here today, is there anything else that you would like to bring up that maybe we didn't, or any shout-outs that you would like to make?
Okay, so first I want to shout out Water. He left his Marvel Rivals tournament to play with us for 2 maps. Shout out to him. He's the GOAT. He schedules all our stuff. Amazing guy. Smurfing did a good job on the fill. And Cars, who is the one with the face, that had a little face name, he has the first time playing with him today too. So shout out to all those players. And also, that enemy team can only run D.Va and nothing else but D.Va, and I will die on that hill.
All right.
That's all I have to say.
Captain Crutch, thank you for coming to come talk to us, and best of luck in the upper finals.
Thank you very much. You guys have a good day.
All right. Well, that was a series ever, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
This late in the tournament, you'd think you'd start seeing some closer matchups, but I don't think I've gotten a close matchup just yet. So
Don't worry, they're totally on the horizon. But hey, you know what's crazy? Speaking of a close matchup, what if I told you there was one happening right now on CGL2, RRG Varsity and big T-Tar fan currently going at it 2-1 to RRG Varsity. So, you know, that's actually could be implications for a massive upset on the way big T-Tar fan has been running that GM tier. But yeah, just a refresher of the schedule. We also have a super later tonight for NA Masters, Sort of Skilled, and Celestial Knights going at it. So, you know, if you want to stay awake for that game, it'd be pretty cool. I'm pretty sure the people who are doing it would love to have you there.
I just want to say shout outs to RRG Varsity because, for one, they're from Texas, but also the improvement from this season, from last season to this season, is like monumental. Like, this is like, I don't think I've ever seen a team go in the span of like 4 months from, you know, kind of average to below average to one of the best teams in the tier. That's crazy. Good stuff, guys. But you know what else is good, Mega?
What else is good?
Kunoichi. Kunoichi's pretty good.
Wow. I never thought you would say this in the Fletch. Why, thank you for bringing up the Kunoichi cavalry.
Why would you say that?
Nothing. Just clips I've seen on Twitter once or twice. Anyway, the Kunoichi cavalry tournament. Yeah, marginalized gender. You gotta support them. You love them. You know them. Going on earlier today, and then tomorrow we got some champions to crown. So make sure you're tuning in and watching, because if you're not, I'll know. I'll be angry at you.
She won't know, and she's still gonna be angry, just not at any of you. That's just how she is. But other than that, we got Copa America. Once again, bringing Overwatch out of the South American region to all of you, broadcast in 3 languages, English, Portuguese, and Spanish. So no matter who's watching where over here, more than likely you're going to have a place you can go to watch however you want to. So going to be very, very fun. That happens on May the 16th, you know, about 2.5 weeks out now. So yeah, keep an eye on that. But now, Mega, that will do it for us here for right now on CGL 1. We're going to pop over to CGL 2 to get to that RRG versus a big T-Tar fan matchup. And then one more time tonight for the matchup happening at 11 p.m. So, Mega, do you have anything else to say before we head out?
I love Overwatch, and actually make sure you turn in on CGL too. Like that RRG game, like Fletch said, it's massive because of, again, just how great big TTR fan I've been, but also just the improvement RRG Varsity have shown. It really is amazing to watch. So that is a great game. I pinky promise you that.
All right, yeah, we're going to throw the stream over to them. Thank you all for watching. We'll see y'all again very, very soon.
Cash and the ticket is yours.